Hello students, welcome back to another algebra video. What do you remember from the last video? Try these problems in your notes, pause the video and try these problems and then unpause the video to do them with me. Okay, we are solving the equations, we are checking our solution. You should have checked your solution. I'm not going to for the sake of time. If you want to watch checking solutions, you can watch last video. So I'm going to look at this first problem first. The first thing I notice is I have 24 equals 12x minus 15x. I'm going to draw a line so that I can see the difference between this side of the equal sign and this side of the equal sign. That's what we talk about when we say the sides of an equation. Okay, and now I have an orange. My numbers are my oranges. I have an apple and an apple. Oh, I have two apples. That means I can put them together. So 12x minus 15x. Let's see, that's 12 minus 15 is negative 3. And don't forget that x. You can't just say negative 3. There's x's right here. The 12 has an x, the 15 has an x. We cannot just write 3. Have to write 3x. Okay, and then of course the 24 just comes on down. Don't just like lose your equal sign. Don't just write negative 3x. Make sure you keep your equal sign. And now we know what to do. I have negative 3 times x. Opposite of times is divide. So I divide by negative 3 on both sides. Don't divide by just 3. Has to be negative 3 so that we can get rid of the negative 3x over here. Okay, and now 24 divided by negative 3 is negative 8 is equal to x. Beautiful. Beautiful, wonderful. Remember, you can check your answer by plugging it back into the original equation. Different color. Okay, all right. I'm going to draw my line. Now, the 8 is all by itself, so I'm not going to do anything over there. But if I look over here, I have an apple, an orange, can't put those together, and another apple. So I can put my apples together. I have 4, and then if I put these together, I have m minus 5m. So remember, if I just have m or I just have x, there's an imaginary 1 in front of it. So this is like 1m minus 5m. So 1 minus 5 is negative 4m. Don't forget that m. Okay. So perfect. We put our apples together and we have our orange as well. 4 minus 4m equals 8. We want to get m by itself. Remember, that's what solve means. So, in order to get m by itself, I need to get rid of this 4. The opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. And if I do it to one side of my equation, I better do it to the other side as well. So I'll subtract 4 from both sides. And now I have negative 4m equals 8 minus 4 is 4. And I have negative 4 times m. So the opposite of times is divide. That goes away. So m equals 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1. And remember, you can check your answer by plugging it in to the original equation. Did you remember what we talked about in the last video? If you did, awesome job. And if you didn't, remember, making mistakes is all part of growing your brain. All right, so that's what we learned about in the last video. What will we learn about in this video? This will be our last video on section 1.2. I know 3 videos on one section, it's a lot, but it's very important that you understand the first chapter of algebra because we're going to use it for the rest of the year. You really need this stuff, so we're taking our time with it to make sure that you really understand it. Okay, so our learning target is that you know what the distributive property is. Ooh, distributive property. And the success criteria is that you can use the distributive property to solve multi-step equations. So we're solving equations just like we did in the last video and the video before and the video before, but we're going to use the distributive property to do so. And I know what you're thinking. What is the distributive property? We're going to get to that next. A quick review about how to solve multi-step equations. Simplify each side of the equation. If necessary, you don't always have to do that, but if you need to combine like terms, or if you need to distribute, you need to do that. And then use inverse operations to isolate the variable, just like we've talked about in the past. All right. So, the distributive property happens when you have parentheses like this. What? We haven't seen parentheses before. What do we do? Well, the distributive property says this right here, this means 2 times 1 minus x. So, because remember, when a number is touching something else or when they're right next to each other, it means multiply. So because the 2 is right next to these parentheses, it means times 1 minus x. So I'm not just doing 2 times 1 minus x. I'm doing 2 times everything in here, 1 minus x. Now normally, PEMDAS would tell us to do what's inside the parentheses first. Let's just do 1 minus x. But wait a minute. This is an orange. This is an apple. We cannot put apples and oranges together. So we're not going to be able to do what PEMDAS said. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to distribute. So to distribute something means that I'm going to multiply this 2. I'm going to multiply 2 times 1 and 2 times negative x. So I like to call these distribution rainbows, and I always draw these arrows so that I don't forget anything. So, let's just write out the rest of the equation. So first, this first arrow, I'm going to do 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm going to put a 2 here. Now, my second arrow says that I'm doing 2 times negative x. 2 times negative x is just negative 2x. You just put them together. Now, you could write negative x2, but we don't really write it that way. We always put the number in front of the variable because it makes it easier. It makes it easier to see what the coefficient of the variable is. So don't write this. Write the number first and then the variable. So minus 2 times negative x is negative 2x. And then everything else in our equation is just going to come down. Plus 3 equals negative 8. So, now we're going to combine like terms, just like in the last video and in our entry task. I have an orange, an apple, and an orange. So I can put my oranges together. 2 plus 3 is 5. Minus 2x equals negative 8. I am running out of space here. So let's rewrite it. I'm just going to rewrite this exact same equation over here so I have more space. Okay. 5 minus 2x equals negative 8. Whoops, I drew my line in the wrong spot. Okay. Now, remember I want to get x by itself, so we'll just do what we've done in the past videos. Subtract x from both sides, and we have negative 2x equals, let's see, minus 8. Negative 8 minus 5 is negative 13. Divide by 2, negative 2 on both sides, and x is equal to, 13 divided by 2, negative 13 divided by negative 2 is positive 6.5. And let's not forget to check our solution by plugging this, and let's do that in let's do it in a different color, actually. We're going to plug this back in to the original equation. So we have 2 times 1 minus 6.5 plus 3, and that should equal negative 8. Now we can do PEMDAS. Okay, 1 minus 6.5, 2 times negative 5.5 plus 3 should equal negative 8. And now PEMDAS, remember PEMDAS? I did my parentheses. We don't have any exponents, so now we're going to multiply and divide from left to right. So 2 times negative 5.5 is negative 11 plus 3 equals negative 8. And negative 11 plus 3 is negative 8. Negative 8 equals negative 8. So x equals 6.5 was correct. Yay! All right, let's make sure that we were correct. Booyah, 6.5. There's another way you can do this. If you are interested in that, take a look at this slide. Pause the video and take a look at it. Okay, so now I want you to try. Pause the video and try these problems on your own, and then unpause the video to do them with me. Okay, first problem. I'm going to do my distribution rainbows. 5 times, well here, let me draw my line. 115 equals 5 times 3x is 15x. Because I do 5 times 3. This is 5 times 3x. This is 5 times 3 times x, which is 15 times x, which is just 15x. So that's where this came from. All right. And then 5 times 8 is 40. Okay, and now you know what to do. We got to get rid of this 40. Minus 40 from both sides. And 115 minus 40 is 75. 75 equals 15x. We got to get rid of that 15. So we're going to divide on both sides. 75 divided by 15 is 5. So x equals 5. We can check by plugging it back in, but I know you know how to do that by now, so I'm going to let you do that on your own. Different color. All right, next one. Negative 5 times 4x. Negative 5 times 4x. That's the same thing as negative 5 times 4 times x, which is negative 20 times x, which is negative 20x. I won't always run through it like this, but I want to make sure that you know what we're doing. So for now, I am. All right, so negative 20x, whoops, x. And then my next distribution rainbow is negative 5 times positive 7, which is negative 35. This plus 3 is going to come right on down. And then I have equals 8 on the other side. All right, now let's take a look. I have an apple, and orange, and an orange. Ooh, let's put our oranges together. Okay, so negative 20x and negative 35 plus 3 is negative 32 equals 8. And now you know what to do. Gotta get rid of the negative 32. So we're going to add 32 to undo that. And then we'll have negative 20x equals 32 plus 8 is 40. And now gotta divide by negative 20 on both sides, because negative 20 times x, we'll get rid of that. And x equals 40 divided by negative 20 is negative 2. Ta-da! And then, of course, you can check by plugging it back in. Awesome! Woohoo! And now you know how to use the distributive property. Remember that if you have questions, questions are wonderful things, and you should definitely ask them. So, ask a friend, ask your teacher, watch another video, whatever you do to get your questions answered. All right. Now, if you want to practice the distributive property some more, these are some problems that you can do to practice. These are not necessarily the questions that your teacher is going to assign for homework, but they are problems that you can practice to make sure you understand the distributive property. And as always, let's end the video with a launch. We'll launch you off to the rest of your day. Today, the launch is from William James, and the quote is, "It is our attitude at the beginning of a difficult task which, more than anything else, will affect its successful outcome." That's a lot of big words, but let me break it down. It is our attitude. Attitude is important. At the beginning of a difficult task, so when you start to do something hard, your attitude at the beginning of something really hard affects its outcome more than anything else. So at the beginning of something really hard, if you tell yourself, you know what, I can do this, it's going to be difficult, but here's my plan to see it through to the end, to make it happen, that attitude, your mind and the attitude that you have towards it is what's going to help you finish that task to the end and actually get that hard thing done. So whether that hard thing is writing a book that you want to, posting a TikTok that you're really proud of, or learning algebra, whatever it is that is going to be something really hard that you really want to do, it's your attitude that's going to be able to make it happen. So make sure you have a good attitude and things become easier to accomplish. Alrighty, that is my launch for you today. Take it with you as you go throughout your day. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching. Bye.